A 78-year-old woman whom I used to work for as a caregiver stopped leaving Concord after her third car accident in 2 years. Not because she couldn't drive anymore, because she decided she didn't want to have to drive very far. She knew where her podiatrist was, she knew where her market basket was, she knew which Starbucks drive-thru was the best, and which handicap spots actually made most sense for her. She knew the fastest, easiest route to each of these places. She'd built a small world inside a bigger city, and it worked for her. That's what this video is about. This is the part most people skip over: the neighborhood. What's actually around the house that you're considering? What it feels like on a Wednesday afternoon when you're not feeling adventurous and you just need to get something quick from somewhere close by. I'm Hannah. I'm a real estate agent in central New Hampshire with a focus on older adults and the families who love them. Neighborhood fits come up in almost every conversation I have with people in a situation like yours. It's one of those things that feels obvious until you're actually standing in the driveway of a house that you love, trying to figure out whether the location will still work 5 or 10 years from now. If you want to think through your own situation, grab my calendar link from the description. We can just talk. Here's the thing about Concord. It's not a huge city, but it has real range in terms of how different neighborhoods feel from day to day. There's the downtown area, which is walkable, interesting, close to good food and services, but it also has noise, foot traffic, car traffic, events. None of that is bad exactly, it's just something to consider as you slow down. The woman I mentioned at the beginning, she lives near White Park on the west side of Concord. It's a 25-acre park embedded in a residential neighborhood. She could walk to it in 3 minutes on a good day. She liked watching people walk by. She liked to know how many families were enjoying it, just as she and her 2 children did back in the 80s. What she cared about most, though, was a short drive to everything that kept her life running. Her doctor, her pharmacy, her food co-op. That's not a quirky detail. That's what neighborhood evaluation looks like when you're actually thinking it through. Have you thought about what your short list would be? The places that need to be close for your daily life to work? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious what's on your list. Most people pick a house and then hope the neighborhood works out. For older adults or for anyone planning ahead, the order should probably be reversed. The safest neighborhoods in Concord tend to be the West End, North End, and South End. The most walkable area is downtown, but walkability and peaceful safety don't always go together. The West End, where White Park is, sits in a good middle spot. Residential, established, close enough to services without being the commercial corridor like in the Concord Heights. If you watched last week's video about resources available in Concord for people aging at home or being cared for by family, a lot of those services are easiest to access if you're already in the west or south side of the city. I'll link that one in the description. Now, about the housing itself, because this is where Concord has a real limitation worth knowing about. Most homes in Concord are 2 stories. A lot are 3. If you're looking for single-level living, you're working with a short list. Right now, there are roughly 4 single-story homes on the market in all of Concord. One is in a 55-plus community called Beaver Brook. 2 are ranches, but both have multiple stairs just to get in the front door. And one hasn't even been built yet, in a new cul-de-sac subdivision in Pennacook, which is a village of Concord. These homes range from about $260,000 to $699,000. That inventory changes, of course, but it's usually thin. Single-level homes with true no-step entry tend to appear more at the edges of Concord, away from the neighborhoods where the 2-story colonial is basically the default. There are also condo buildings with elevators, like in the Oak Bridge condominiums in Pennacook, which solves the stair problem entirely. It's worth considering if maintenance is also something you're trying to let go of. And then there's Havenwood Heritage Heights, which I want to mention because it often gets dismissed without a fair look. The 2 campuses sit just 1 mile apart, set on acreage with cottages, gardens, and walking paths. It's described by the people who live there as anything but assisted living, more like a supportive community where you feel at home. I know someone living there who genuinely loves it. She doesn't feel like she gave something up. She feels like she made a smart decision before she had to. It's not for everyone, but it deserves a look before you rule it out. When you're evaluating a neighborhood, not a house, a neighborhood, here's what I'd actually pay attention to. Terrain and sidewalks, whether there's something pleasant within walking distance, even if you're not walking much right now. Distance to the things that keep your life running, noise patterns at different times of the day, and whether the area feels like somewhere you'd want to be on an ordinary overcast Monday, not just a nice warm Sunday. The house matters, the neighborhood might matter more. If you want to talk through what that looks like for your specific situation, my number is 603-573-6969. I will never pressure you to buy or sell a home with me. I just love to listen and connect. Links to anything I specifically mentioned are in the description below. Do you have a neighborhood in Concord that you love? I'd like to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. Next week, we're talking about New Hampshire's tax environment. And I mean the actual numbers, not just the talking points. Every agent mentions no income tax and no sales tax. What fewer people mention is that as of 2025, New Hampshire eliminated its tax on interest and dividends entirely, which means if you're retiring here, your Social Security, your pension, your 401k withdrawals, none of it gets taxed at the state level. We're going to run the real math, including the property tax conversation that usually gets left out, and see what it actually looks like for a household moving from Massachusetts or Vermont. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. See you next time. Embedded in residential New Hampshire. It's a 25-acre park embedded. Try again. We're going to run the real math, including the property tax conversion,